Noble is a nose-to-tail beef protein powder with organs, collagen, and colostrum that my wife, kids, and I have been using over the past few months. In this video, I'll share with you what sets Noble apart from any other protein powder on the market, how we use it as part of our animal-based dietary framework, and what the company behind this beef protein powder could potentially improve. So let's get right to it, talking about the ingredients. And let's start with what the product does not contain, because that's just as important as what it does contain. And it does not contain any soy, artificial flavors, or synthetic sweeteners like sucralose or anything else that could potentially be detrimental to your health. Because most protein powders on the market, especially whey and plant-based proteins, contain some of those ingredients that I'd rather avoid. What does Noble contain, however, is beef protein isolate, one of the purest forms of beef protein from 100% grass-fed New Zealand cattle. It's the same cattle at the end of the day that we source our beef organ supplements from for MK Supplements. So it's a high-quality protein with nothing to complain about. In addition to that, and that's what makes Noble unique as far as protein powders are concerned, it contains a blend of organs and colostrum. And by organs, I mean beef liver, beef heart, kidney, spleen, and pancreas. And if you hear this, you might think, whoa, I don't think that's going to taste good having organs in my protein powder. But here is the thing. We're going to talk about taste and flavor and texture and everything. It actually tastes absolutely delicious. You can barely, unless you really know what you're looking for and you know how those organs taste, you can't taste it. It tastes absolutely delicious. But here is the thing, it contains only small amounts of that because of the taste. It contains about 250 milligrams of that organ colostrum blend per serving. Now, that's great if you want to fill, smaller gaps in your diet. Maybe if you're already following an animal-based diet and you consume fresh organs, etc., and you just want to top it off with some of the organs in the protein powder. But for comparison, I consume somewhere between 3 and 6 grams of freeze-dried beef organs on a daily basis, in capsule form where there is no taste and texture, to get all of the micronutrients, meaning the minerals and vitamins and all of that my body needs. So 250 milligrams is relatively little, but it's enough to fill smaller gaps in your diet. And the reason why Noble decided to include organs in its protein powder is because organs are arguably the most nutrient-dense food on the planet. They are rich in vitamins and minerals and peptides and all of the things that your body needs to thrive. So I really like the inclusion in amounts that you can taste. That's very important for most people, I would argue. The other thing that Noble contains is Himalayan rock salt, xanthan gum, stevia, natural flavors, and silicon dioxide. And we'll talk about 2 of those ingredients that are benign in the greater scheme of things, but that I would argue could potentially be removed, and that's xanthan gum and silicon dioxide. We'll talk about those separately. In addition to that, depending on if you pick the chocolate or vanilla flavor, those are the 2 flavors the company offers, you get natural vanilla flavor or a combination of Dutch cocoa powder and natural chocolate flavor. So those are the flavorings basically that set the 2 different flavors apart. Now let's talk about mixability, and then we'll loop the xanthan gum and silicon dioxide into the discussion because that's why they are in there. The problem is that most people don't like clumping in their protein powder. They want to mix it with water and milk or what have you, and shake it a little bit and have a perfect mixture without any clumps, without anything in it, a nice texture. And if you want to accomplish that, you need emulsifiers, because protein powder naturally doesn't mix very well with water unless you use a frother and you do this for a while to really try to mix everything well together. Otherwise, you're gonna have clumping and separation. Like if you leave the glass for a while, you see the protein powder on top and then the milk or the water probably on the bottom. And so many people don't like that. And that's why Noble included or added silicon dioxide and xanthan gum. The former is a flow agent that prevents caking and clumping and enhances mixability. Silicon dioxide is basically sand, so it's relatively benign in the grander scheme of things. If you eat produce from outside, you're probably exposed to silicon dioxide or sand as well. The latter also improves mixability, thickens the texture of the mixed protein shake, and acts as an emulsifier. So it helps fatty components within the product mix with water, because fat and water typically don't mix well. The fat stays on top of the water. And by adding xanthan gum, it improves the mixability by acting as an emulsifier. Now, I looked into, both of those ingredients, and I couldn't really find any reason why you want to absolutely stay away from them in the amounts that are in the product. So they are relatively benign, I would argue. But suppose I was in charge of Noble's product development. In that case, I try to omit those two ingredients because they add zero nutritional value. And honestly, I would accept some clumping and maybe spend 30 seconds more or a minute more on mixing the mixture to avoid clumping than having those two ingredients. But that's just me. So I think that unless you're hypersensitive to any of those ingredients, you're not going to have any issues. I have a fairly sensitive stomach, I want to argue, and I've had zero issue with consuming several servings of Noble in a day. So not a problem whatsoever. Now let's talk about taste, texture, and the smell. Because, as we've mentioned initially, there are organ meats in the powder. And organ meat, even when it's freeze-dried, you can smell and you can taste it, unless it's encapsulated. And spoiler alert, Noble is absolutely delicious. And it's not only me saying this, because I'm usually someone who says, well, if it's healthy, if it's good for me, I'm okay with the flavor and I accept it and I just, think it's good, even though my wife and my kids would disagree. But my kids, I think, love Noble the most in our entire family. They ask every single morning for, can I have a glass of raw milk with Noble? Last night, we actually emptied the last bag that we had at home. And the first comment was, when are we going to get more? So the kids absolutely love it. And my 8-year-old is a picky eater right now, or at least goes through a picky eating phase at the moment. And he absolutely loves Noble mixed with raw milk. And he knows what's in there. He knows that there are organs in there and he doesn't care. He loves it. Same goes with, our daughter, who is 2 years older. They both had their Noble last night and they absolutely loved it. My wife loves it. And she's also on the pickier side in comparison to me. So I would say, taste-wise, unless you know what you're looking for, and I know how freeze-dried beef organs taste because we make them at MK Supplements and I smell them and I taste them, so I know what to look for and I can tell very subtly it's in there, but it's not a distracting or anything awful. Now, taste is obviously a relative argument. Some people don't like the taste of raw milk and I love it, and they say, well, it's absolutely awful. So you might not have the same opinion as I have and the kids and the wife. But I would say for the general population, it tastes absolutely delicious and chances are you love it, just like my kids do. Now, the only major downside of the product is the pricing. One pouch costs $79 and it contains 30 servings. Now, that doesn't make it the least expensive protein powder on the market, but for what it contains, for the quality of its ingredients, for the combination of beef protein isolate from 100% grass-fed New Zealand cattle, and the organ mix and the colostrum, I think it is absolutely worth it if you break it down by how much one serving costs you per day and how much protein you get with each serving. So speaking of protein, one serving contains 21 grams of protein. That's quite a bit. I usually consume 2 scoops in the morning with breakfast. I mix it with raw milk kefir that I make at home. So I get a whopping 42 grams of protein from just that one shake. That's an incredible amount, and it makes it very easy to either significantly increase your protein intake or, meet your daily demands if you don't get enough protein from the fresh food that you eat. Now, I should mention 2 things. One is if you sign up for a subscription, you get a 10% discount. And if you use code Michael, you get a 15% discount. So that can significantly reduce the purchase price and make it more palatable if you're on a budget. To wrap it up, Noble Beef Protein Powder is one of my favorite beef protein powders on the market. It's actually one of the 3 protein powders, period, that we have in our pantry. There are not many that we allow in because most have unhealthy ingredients that we don't like to expose ourselves to. Noble is different, high quality ingredients. I love the combination of organ meat, colostrum, and the protein, especially for the kids. I mean, they take, freeze-dried beef organ capsules, but if you have a picky eater, maybe someone who doesn't, like to swallow capsules or what have you, adding this protein powder to the diet is an excellent way to increase the protein intake, to get more micronutrients, meaning minerals and vitamins, into the diet. We love it with raw milk. It tastes absolutely delicious, and combined with the fat and the carbs in the milk, you basically get a whole meal. So you can use Noble in combination with raw milk or a raw milk kefir if you maybe have issues with lactose, to replace a meal at the end of the day. I typically use it as a snack or to increase my protein intake. So I have my full breakfast first, and then I add Noble on top with raw milk kefir, 2 scoops again. So that's 42 grams of protein from Noble plus the protein in the milk. So I get a good boost in protein, and it's absolutely delicious. I love it. We'll use it every day. So check it out and let me know how you like it.